can start. You can start recording.
Dayton Board of Health in January 29th, 2025, 11:30. This is a remote participation Zoom meeting. It is a public meeting being recorded for cable broadcast and internet posting on YouTube. Call to order. Barbara Katabia, Chair.
Tammy Mello.
Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. My little short chair disappeared somewhere. One of these days I'm gonna flip off this thing. New business review, discuss act public warning bird flu outbreak. There've been a couple of reportings. One specifically at North Dayton yesterday, well, 2 days ago. And which Dayton has responsibility of the waterway on one side. A lady was walking her dog. She said she did see a duck in the water that it looked like it was deceased. The conservation agent from Taunton and myself went and looked and checked, and we did not find anything. I went twice. I went once without her, then I went back. I contacted the businesses that were adjacent to the pond and gave them my information if they needed to contact me. I also contacted the owner of the 100-acre, town people know it as Divine Farm, which runs along basically one whole side of that pond. And he said we could go on his land, inspect it, no problem at all. That right there, it's pretty well about 80 acres of corn that they've already chopped, and the geese are all in there.
Okay.
I saw about 70 or 80 of them. None of them dead, thank goodness.
Okay.
So it's looking good so far. But did you want to say some things on this?
No,
I
unless
think,
you need me to, I mean, I think we've covered it in
yeah,
in
we've
the
sent out a
letters
lot
that-
of
the
notifications.
notifications.
One thing I would ask the residents, if you walk along water or if you live along any water where the geese and the swans and the ducks frequent, please keep a lookout. And if you do see a sick-looking animal or a deceased animal, contact the Board of Health or the ACO over at the police station. Please do not touch, please do not touch. They're highly contagious. Also, anyone that does have chickens, I've been keeping mine closed in. They're normally out during the day. I've been keeping them closed in as a precaution. And I think if you could possibly keep them closed in. And of course, if anyone has any questions, you can contact us here at the Board of Health.
Or maybe even being more proactive as far as if people do walk in the area where the wild geese and ducks are, just sanitizing the bottom of their shoes, just as a
Yes, yes.
precaution. And it's really simple. You just can use peroxide. You can use it undiluted, or you can dilute it with water if you felt as though it would damage the bottom of your shoes, which it shouldn't, but.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed also is, God forbid somebody does have a flock that is infected, and they go in and they get manure on the bottom of their shoes, then they go to Tractor Supply. Now that infection is on the floors. And somebody else can come pick it up and get it on their shoes and bring it back to their flock. Or the animals, the dogs coming in can pick it up and the same thing, bring it back. So just be cautious. If you have chickens, be very, very cautious. That was,
It's very simple. As you said, keeping your chickens locked up. I never let my chickens out, so it's
Mhm.
easy for me. Washing your hands with soap and water, disinfecting the bottom of your shoes. I discourage people from adding to their flocks right now,
Mhm.
because you don't know what you're getting. And I know a lot of people try to, relocate their flocks or rehome them. And you're trying to do the right thing, and sometimes it could turn into a disaster. So just try not to add any new birds into your flocks right now until we got past this. Because it could be, really hazardous to your own flocks, and it's just a lot of work.
It is. But let's all try to be cautious. I just noticed our other board member is on. Hi, Vinny.
Good morning, Vinny. Maybe.
Maybe he can't hear us.
You're on mute.
He's got it muted.
Okay, so any input from the audience? Karen, do you have anything to say? Okay. All right, let's move on to review, discuss, act, interview public health nurse candidate Daniel Kosky. Hi, Dan, how you doing?
Good morning,
Please come up
Daniel.
here.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'll start with the questions, if you don't mind. We can include a lot of this. Please tell us about yourself, your education, work experience, and how you feel this has prepared you for the position of public health nurse for the town of Dayton.
Sure. So my name is Daniel Kosky. I was born in Texas, raised in Louisiana until about the age of 18. At 18, I joined the Air Force for about 9 years, worked as security forces, which would be like military police, and also as a military working dog handler. At about the 10-year mark, I decided that. Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry, Daniel.
Uh,
Excuse me. Vinny, can you hear us? Well, we'll see if he may cut in. I'm sorry, so sorry,
No worries.
Dan. Please continue.
Sure. So after 10 years of active duty service, I decided to go to the reserves, moved to Hawaii, and there I became, I know, right?
I know, right? Looking outside the snow in Hawaii. Yeah. Mhm.
So there I became a combat medic. And then ever since 2018, I think I came back here to Massachusetts. After moving back here, worked on my nursing degree. And then in 2020, the craziest thing happened. I got my nursing degree and then a pandemic hit. So didn't really get too much of the clinicals in nursing school, but my experiences as a combat medic in the hospitals kind of made up for that. And I think that prepared me, as well as being a police officer. And I think that kind of prepared me as well. I learned real quick because I was shy. I learned real quick when you start dealing with the public, you gotta, if they notice that you're shy, they'll, walk over
Mhm.
you. So you gotta be firm, but fair. And the same thing with nursing. I feel like you need to be firm, but fair sometimes, and compassionate as well. And then I think in 2023, I met my wife. We decided she has family in Halifax and Bridgewater. And we figured that Dayton would be a nice little, it's close enough, but
Mhm.
also a little far away from family. So, it's that perfect match.
Yeah.
And since then, I just returned actually from a deployment overseas in October. So
Really?
it came right just in time for my son's birth,
Oh, nice.
That was good.
right?
Yeah.
Well timed, I think.
Congratulations, by
Thank
the
you.
way.
Thank you.
That's
Nice.
amazing. So you've been really diversified
I'd like to think so.
in occupation and location.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Thank you, Dan.
Well, first, thank you for your service.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm retired law enforcement, so
Okay.
I get where you're coming from. Okay, so I'm going to try to go easy on you. Please describe any past experience you have working with a local Board of Health and or the Mass Department of Public Health.
So I don't think I have too much experience working with the Mass, Board of Health. The only thing that really comes to mind is just with the COVID pandemic, you know, just kind of abiding the rules that were coming down from the Board of Health. What with the mask mandates, with you know, like I said, during clinicals, there wasn't a lot of options for us, a lot of chances for us to work in the hospitals. So we did the best we could. But
Absolutely. That was just a crazy time. So
right,
what a way to start.
I know.
Thank you.
How do you feel about working with our schools to adopt new programs such as CPR training for students?
I think CPR training for students would be fantastic.
Mhm.
I think working with schools would be kind of up my alley. What with like I do like the pediatric population. What with my son now, you know, I feel like it's something that I would be excited to go into, especially to kind of, you know, if I could make the schools safer,
Mhm.
a school that my son might possibly go into, I think that would benefit everybody. And like I said, I think the CPR thing is really, it's a good idea. It's exciting.
I think so. We all do. We all do.
Absolutely.
It's something we're trying to enact right now. We're in process, let's put it that way.
Got it.
We're in talking.
Please describe your experience with MAVEN and disease reporting in Massachusetts.
So with the disease reporting, like I said, as a combat medic in the Air Force, we kind of dealt with the federal side of it. With the state side, I've had a few, so before I moved here to Dayton, I also worked in Worcester as a nurse over at UMass. And so there would be a few communicable diseases that would come in. I think those would, it's unfortunate to say, some of them were exciting to deal with, you know what I mean? Like, especially when it came to like meningitis and whatnot, it's like, oh, the nurse ears perk up. You're like, what is this? I never had the opportunity to report anything, but I was aware of, you know, like if we do this scan and it does come back meningitis, we do have to report certain things. So I was aware of it, but I never had the opportunity to report anything like that.
Thank you.
So,
Very
hey, Tammy and Barbara, hi, I'm here. Can you see me?
There you are. Hi. How are
Hi.
you?
Sorry, had a little technical difficulty, but here I am. So I'll ask the next question. By the way, I'm Vinnie Hebert. I'm a member of the Board of Health, but I am in Florida right now, so I can get away from all of that white
Yes,
stuff that you have up there. You know, I'm not going to say the word. It's a four-letter word to me. I don't say that word. So,
Thanks, Vinny. Thank you.
so could you please give us an example of community health, of a community health program you developed, ran, or participated in?
Sure. So again, I'd have to go to the Air Force side of it. What with the community health programs there, they're kind of limited just because it's all federal and it is Department of Defense. But again, going back to COVID though, it was just trying to educate other Air Force members about simple things like hand washing, whatnot. While I was deployed, I did get to do a hand washing thing so we have these on a deployed base, you have a dining facility or a DFAC. That's where everyone on base comes to eat. And at this particular base, I think for almost 2,200 people, we only had 2 DFACs. So it was really easy for us to just sit at the front, and there's sinks. When you come in, you have to scan your card, and then there's sinks lined up, and it's encouraged that everyone wash their hands. And after a while, though, we noticed that there were certain GI bugs that were going around. So in the hospital, what we did was we decided we'd set up a hand washing, like I'm not even sure how to describe it. We put a lotion on the service members' hands. We had them wash their hands normally, and then hidden around the corner, we had a UV light that they were not aware of. So we would ask them, oh, do you think you washed your hands well? And they're like, yeah, I think I washed my hands well. And we're like, do you want to check? We have a UV light. And so they would be like, yeah, sure. And we'd hold the UV light over their hands. And we showed them that like their quick hand wash was not enough. Like they were not washing their hands long enough. And so that was just a fun educational way. And also we were kind of hoping that maybe the GI bug systems would go down if people learn that they need to wash their hands a little bit longer, a little bit more enthusiastically.
Mhm.
Did it
Very
work?
good.
I don't know if it worked. I like to think that the hand washing worked, but that maybe this was just a really stubborn GI bug or whatnot,
That's
or
interesting.
and you
Yeah,
also have
very.
people that come in, so we work on like 6 to 8 month rotations. So I think some of it might have just been like a new rotation comes in, they're getting used to the food. Maybe it might not have been a GI bug, maybe
Right.
it could be stress. There's a lot of factors that
Sure.
we just didn't have enough data for.
Right. Interesting.
Yep. Thank you.
Whoever thought of that? Wow.
That was genius.
Yeah, sneaky, wasn't it? Would you have any difficulty implementing any local, state, or federal public health protocol that you do not agree with?
I think if it's for the greater good, if it's for the benefit of people, right? I think as long as there's science behind it and it's benefiting people, then yes, I think so. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
No, I, thank you.
Can you provide specific examples of your recent experience working with clients, elders, the general public, and families?
Sure. I'm sorry, can you say the question one more time?
Sure. Can you provide specific examples of your recent experience working with clients, elders, and the general public?
Sure. So my most recent job was, before I deployed, was over again at Worcester with UMass Memorial. And there it was, I worked in MRI, so it was really fun just to get all of the, we would work with ICU patients, neuro ICU most of the time, but occasionally if there was, let's say, a trauma case or something like that, they would jump to the top of the list, understandably. And whenever I would be at my desk, wrapping up this last neuro ICU patient or something like that, I might get a message like, hey, we've got a trauma, we need an emergency stat MRI, right? Those to me were like some of the best times because I had an opportunity to help someone who really needed it. So I really enjoyed working with those patients. And a lot of times it sounds worse on paper than it actually is, right? So let's say around the winter time, be like, I'll never forget this. It was a 14-year-old girl, snow skiing accident. And they're like, we need a neuro MRI stat. Like she's, showing, decreased neurological. And so I'm thinking the worst. And she rolls in a C-collar and she's talking, she's joking, and I'm looking and it's like, okay, I'm not sure what the decreased neurological signs are, but this is awesome. I get to help, a little 14-year-old girl. We're going to get her out of that C-collar, fast. I had those. And then sometimes I would get like the neuro ICUs, maybe it might be a nursing home resident that's coming in. I'd work with them as well. While I was deployed, I got to work with a large, demographic. I thought overseas in a combat zone, it was just going to be your 18-year-old males, combat vets and all that. But then I also got to work with people that like the Department of State were sending to us. You know what I mean? I can't go into details about it, but it was just like, it was a large population. It wasn't just the 18 and 20-year-olds. I was working with 40, 50-year-olds. It was like, I'm not going to ask why you're here. All I know is you need medical help. We're going to help you get there. You know what I mean? I also got to work with other foreign nationals, maybe Saudis, Qataris. So that was interesting to work with as well. There was a geriatric patient that I can't go into the details about, but it was just, they were in the OR, operational region, and we just had to get them back to Germany for medical care. And so, this patient required one-to-one, someone to constantly monitor them. And it just felt like I was hanging out with a family member, you know what I mean? Like, oh, we're gonna get you to Germany.
That's great.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Is it my turn?
I think it is.
It is.
I'm
All
trying to
right.
keep track here, Vinny.
All right.
Trying.
do you have any recent experience doing clinical work with patients such as immunizations and TB testing?
Not with TB tests, but I have experience giving immunizations for the flu season back in November. We helped the clinic at Westover Air Force Base administer flu shots. And that is, besides flu and COVID, those were the only two immunizations that I'm intimately familiar with.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Do you have any relationships with local stakeholder or provider groups who you'd be able to call upon as a resource on behalf of Dayton residents as our public health nurse?
So I just moved here December 2023. I don't have too many relationships with the local agencies, but I do see myself as an outgoing individual, and I feel like I could create and foster relationships with other agencies relatively easy.
Very good. Thank you.
This position interfaces with the public frequently. What skills do you have that would enable you to effectively deal with residents on sensitive and confidential health matters? You've already displayed this, but now you just have to answer it.
Right. So like I said, working in law enforcement, you learn real quick how to deal with the public, how to talk with the public. And then I feel like working in the hospital, you learn real quick how to tactfully discuss maybe sensitive information, maybe sensitive subjects. So I think public speaking is not really something that is too, it's not an issue for me. I enjoy talking, I enjoy being in front of people, and I enjoy meeting new people.
Great. Very good.
I think you already have this, but I'll ask the question. Have you had any training and experience with emergency preparedness? Describe the situation in your role, but I think you being in the military, I'm pretty sure you have that.
Right. Yeah, so the emergency, I am also a licensed EMT. On the Air Force side, being a combat medic means you're an EMT, but it's really weird if you look at the scope of practice, because I do operate outside of that scope. But as an EMT, you do focus on emergency medicine. And then I think as a nurse, I think it's every nurse is, every nurse, if you tell them something, they may think the worst, they're preparing for the worst. And it's just, you prepare for the worst, but you hope for a pleasant surprise.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
What have you done in previous positions to help establish and maintain quality customer service with your organization or department?
So with Shields Healthcare, which was the MRI nursing position in Worcester, I felt like some of the things that I had to do was I worked the night shift, and you sometimes have to call patients next of kin for consent for certain procedures. And so there was no protocol established at Shields at the time for this. So it would be 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and my managers would expect me to still call for consent at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I think after the first 2 or 3 nights of waking up next of kin, calling them, and then they see that they're getting a phone call from the hospital, they think 2 o'clock in the morning, oh no, the worst has happened, right? So after I think 2 or 3 nights of me doing this, I realized that a better process has to be put in place. Like, this is not, we're giving family members, severe anxiety over something so simple that could be handled during the daytime. So what I did was, one of the things that I did was I coordinated with days and swings nurses, and I just said, listen, I don't have a problem calling at 1 or 2 in the morning for emergencies. But if it's a routine schedule, something that's on the schedule for more than 12 hours, I was like, can you just please,
Right.
call them ahead of time for consent, right? So we did that, but then there became the problem of, well, it's not documented. Easy fix. So I just said, listen, we're gonna just adjust this like worksheet that we have. All you have to do is check a box that says you got consent, and then tell me who and when you did it, and I'll be happy. That meets the grounds, the legal grounds, and then I think it also will ease a lot of people's minds. So I think that helped Shields Healthcare's ratings, like on Google, right? I think it helped the patients' families get some
Definitely.
peace of mind. Don't get me wrong, like I said, I'm not shy. If I need to call someone at 3 o'clock in the morning to get consent, I'll do it, but let's reserve those for just emergencies and just give everyone some peace of mind.
Makes sense.
That was using your brain.
Yeah.
Thank
common
you.
sense.
It really was. Thank you, because I've gotten those phone calls. Thank you so much.
As you probably noticed in the job description, this position is a part-time per diem role. What kinds of flexibility do you have to accommodate the needs of the position?
I'm sorry, so if I'm understanding correctly, you're asking me what do I need or what you need or how can I help?
What's your flexibility? The position that you're applying for is part-time per diem.
Right, right. So my only other obligation here is the Air Force Reserves, which is 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year. And with just coming back from a combat deployment last year, I don't foresee myself being pulled away by the reserves for a while. Typically what happens when you deploy, you come back and then they put you in like a little bucket or a status that says leave them alone, you came back. So I'm protected for maybe another 2 or 3 years. And I plan on retiring from the Air Force in about 2 or 3 years anyway. So 21 years of service is long enough for me.
That's great.
Other than that, it's really my only obligation besides my 7-week-old, 8-week-old son now. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
So final question is, so why do you think you're the best person for this position?
Yes, sir. So I think one, you have someone who has, at this point, I think 18 years of military experience, and it's not just medical experience, it's also, like I said, the law enforcement side. I think I offer a nice blend of firmness but fairness, you know, a friendly face, but also someone who can follow rules, kind of needs that structure, that organization. And also a little bit of an independent spirit in the sense that if you tell me what to do, if you give me your goal of what you have in mind, but you don't tell me how to do it, I'll figure out a way, hopefully that meets everybody's satisfaction.
You good? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, the big question. Do you have any questions for us?
Yes. So if I were to be hired, I'm just curious, what would be the first thing that you would want me to focus on or concentrate on?
Well, we belong to an alliance. And I've got a meeting actually Monday with their nurse that will be coming around. So we're going to go over a few different things with Dayton and what we feel are priorities. And if you were to be hired, I'd love to have you come to that meeting and get together. We don't have a lot of hours. I mean, I could get a list this long, but we don't have a lot of hours, regretfully, to offer.
Okay.
And I really want, we've got the work and the different areas between, my big thing is CPR in high school,
Got it.
big thing.
Yeah.
It's been for 25 years that way. But there are a lot of little things that we want to get going too.
Okay.
The nurse worked a lot with Council on Aging, so she would go and do blood pressure clinics and flu clinics and yeah. Bella would probably have whatever the nurse covered.
Okay.
We work close with them, very close.
Got it. Okay.
Anything?
Me or Vinny?
You?
My big thing is I'd love to see the LifeVac little
I'm
mechanisms.
familiar with that one.
Yeah, we have it in my house because my grandson lives with me. I'd love to see that in schools or maybe even rescue, carrying that, the police department and some of their
Right.
vehicles. I think it's just such a great tool to have.
Right.
That's my big thing. And CPR.
Is
as
that the
well.
tool when they're choking?
Yes.
I had mentioned that because I was following a school bus going home. And this one had pulled over. And I went by and I'm like, why is that bus pulled over? And then I see a woman on the outside, looked like she was talking to a child on the steps coming down, and the driver was turned sideways towards them. A child was choking.
Wow.
So I got out, and thankfully, I went back. I don't know why I left my phone. I went back to my Tahoe to call 911 because it had been a few minutes. That child was coughing and choking and crying, and it was elementary. She was a little one. And as I was going back to my Tahoe, the little girl, they took her out of the bus, and she did choke up, a lifesaver.
Oh,
So thank goodness that was it. The same thing happened to myself when I was a school bus driver. It was my 3-year-old son. At that time, we could bring our children with us. And one of the kids in the bus gave him a candy, and he choked on it. And thank goodness, I'm trying to pull the bus over, and you can't just stop when you've got a bunch of kids on. And one of the 12-year-old junior high kids that was on took my son, and he's an only child. I don't know where he learned it from, but he took my son, picked him upside down, slapped him on the back, and it came out.
Wow.
So there were 2 things that I had mentioned, and this only happened this fall. And I had mentioned it, and there was an issue. They said if there was something, if they would be pushing it down more. So that's something we could look into.
It's actually a vacuum that sucks it out.
Yeah.
It's like a
So the-
suction.
I would underscore those 2 points from Barbara and Tammy. I think those are probably the more important
Mhm.
things right now, besides, like I said, giving the immunizations and maybe blood pressure testing, working with the Council on Aging. That's an important piece. And then it's if you're comfortable with, the per diem and the hours, that 2 to 4 hours a week, but it might not be. It may be 1. It might be maybe 4 or 5. It's depends on what it is. So if you're comfortable with that, and that's probably one of the biggest questions I have is like, is that something that you're comfortable with?
Yes, sir. I think I'd be comfortable with that. I'm
Okay.
also would be available for any more hours or any more, if you need me for anything more than that, I'd be open with it. But if it's just 2 to 4 hours, that's, okay, that's more time with my newborn son.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
However, the other thing we have is, somebody's been covering on Maven, so that's something.
Is she still covering it? Anything else?
No, ma'am.
I'm not used to the ma'am thing. I really am not.
That's the military. That's the military.
I
You can't
know.
help it, right?
I guess,
That and Southern.
It's military and the Texas thing, because when I went to Texas, everybody called me ma'am.
okay, Daniel, if you don't have any more questions, I think that's our interrogation for today.
Okay.
Thank
you so much.
yes,
It was an
thank you.
absolute Pleasure. to
Thank you
meet
for your service.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely.
And thank you for your time and consideration.
And good luck with your little one.
Oh, thank you.
So we'll be contacting you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, hon.
Nice meeting you.
And that is the most difficult part of this process, talking in front of the room on camera.
Yeah,
But we've all had to do it, just so you know.
But it really was an interrogation, right, Dan?
It's not-
Thank you. We don't want to be that way. We really don't.
Should I leave or?
Yes, you can leave. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Have a great day, hon.
Daniel?
Bye.
Okay, comments.
I like them.
I like them.
I love that he's so diverse. I mean, his background is incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's probably seen more than most people.
Yeah.
In the
I'm a-
military, being law enforcement, being nursing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well-rounded. His resume was very
Absolutely.
impressive.
Impressive.
I'm an affirmative.
Absolutely.
I'm just amazed.
Yeah, he was incredible.
Do I have
Yep.
any motions to vote on acceptance of him for our nurse?
Sure, I'd make a motion to accept and let the selectmen know that we'd like to
Yes.
vote on him.
Forward it to the. select-
Forward it to the selectmen.
Second.
Can I have a vote, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. We will be sending a letter up to the selectmen
Mhm.
confirming that we definitely would be so honored to have him
Absolutely.
as a
Well,
nurse.
especially to the fact that he's available at any time. should
Yeah,
we
that's
need
really
him.
important.
That's, there's nothing else, with the exception of him going away for his Air Force weekends. There's nothing
Yeah.
else standing in the way.
I'm gonna really have to look for a grant here.
Because he's.
I'd love to
yeah,
have
he's
him
nice.
more hours and a lot more to do to
Yeah.
help this town.
Well,
And,
the grants are on hold right now. I went to that boot camp yesterday.
I couldn't get on. I tried to get on.
It was okay. I mean, I don't think you've missed a lot, Barbara. It was okay. I mean, I thought a lot of it was, honestly, I thought a lot of it was fluff. But it was okay. I'm sure there's a lot of people there that have never had any experience with it or been exposed to it. And, there were a lot of people that had questions. So, but it was things that I had definitely done before, but all the grants have been frozen right now, by the new administration. So right now there's nothing that you can apply for. Not to say that, we couldn't look for something anyways, and then, hopefully it will, pop back up again. But as of right now, and they mentioned that in the boot camp yesterday, that everything has been pretty much frozen as of right now. So
Well, hopefully the Alliance can aid us in this,
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
meeting that we're going to have Monday. We'll
Her
probably-
budget hasn't been touched yet this year, so you could utilize him a lot more.
What was that,
The
Liz?
budget hasn't been touched. this
Oh, I
year.
know, yeah. It's just
So-
he's got a cap of 4 hours, but maybe we could override that somehow. But
yeah.
we'll see what happens.
I think where there's a will, there's a way. We can figure it out.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
just going to be nice if this actually works to have both positions filled and
Exactly.
at full capacity, so we're not so behind.
Right,
Agreed.
right, definitely.
So
Steps in the positive.
I do have to jump off. But Liz, thanks for the link and the info. And a couple weeks, unless another meeting comes up, just let me know. No problem.
Okay.
Enjoy
Thanks, Vinny. Have a great
yourself.
day.
All right.
Enjoy the
Yeah,
weather.
I was finally able to put a t-shirt on yesterday and go outside. Today I'm going to wear shorts. This is the first time. I mean, it's almost
Love it.
February for God's sakes. I mean, what the hell? I mean,
Work on that tan, Vinny.
all right. We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Items not reasonably anticipated within 48 hours. Do we have anything? Public input, Karen? No public input?
Thought he was amazing.
Yes.
He was amazing.
I know. Okay, could I have a motion for adjournment, please?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
And I'll step down. Second that. Vote.
Aye.
Ayes have it. It's adjourned. Till next time.